Imagine you find a serious vulnerability in one of the most widely deployed pieces of software on the planet, Windows Defender. The antivirus that ships by default on over a billion devices. You dig into it, confirm it works, document everything properly, and report it to Microsoft. And then, nothing. Your account gets deleted, your reports disappear, and the bounty you owed, zero. So, what would you do? Most people would move on, file a complaint somewhere, maybe post an angry tweet. This person decided to drop 0 days on the internet, one by one, until Microsoft was forced to listen. Welcome to Snake Bytes. I'm Insha. You can also call me Medusa. And today we are talking about one of the most dramatic and honestly most uncomfortable stories to come out of the security research world in a long time. Microsoft versus a researcher called Nightmare Eclipse, and why every single person doing bug bounty should be paying attention. Let's start from the beginning. Because this story didn't come out of nowhere. Sometime in early 2026, possibly earlier, an anonymous researcher going by the handle Nightmare Eclipse, sometimes Chaotic Eclipse, sometimes Dead Eclipse, reportedly found a series of serious vulnerabilities in Windows. We are talking about flaws in the very things Microsoft tells you to trust. Windows Defender, the antivirus layer, and BitLocker, the disk encryption tool. According to the researcher's own blog posts, signed with a PGP key posted to a Blogger account under the handle Dead Eclipse 666, they had a prior arrangement with Microsoft. What exactly that arrangement was, Microsoft has never confirmed. But the researcher was clear about what happened to it. Quote, and this is directly from their blog, but someone violated our agreement and left me homeless with nothing. They knew this will happen and they still stabbed me in the back anyways. This is their decision, not mine. Homeless. That word stuck with me when I read it. This isn't someone who found a bug for fun. This is someone who clearly believed they had a real deal with Microsoft, possibly a bug bounty arrangement, and felt completely abandoned when it fell apart. And look, we don't know the full story on Microsoft's side. They haven't publicly confirmed or denied the specific claim. But what happened next? That part is extremely well documented. On April 2nd, 2026, Nightmare Eclipse published their first 0-day on GitHub. They called it Blue Hammer. If you're listening this on YouTube, you'll find the CVEs link in the description. Well, Blue Hammer is a local privilege escalation vulnerability in Windows Defender. What that means in plain terms, if an attacker already has any kind of foothold on your machine, any standard user account, they can use this exploit to elevate themselves to system. That's the highest permission level on a Windows machine, full control. The researcher didn't provide a detailed explanation, they just dropped the code and wrote again, quote, I was not bluffing Microsoft and I'm doing it again. Unlike previous times, I'm not explaining how this works. Y'all geniuses can figure it out. Also, huge thanks to MSRC leadership for making this possible. That last line, that's not a mistake, that's a message. Microsoft didn't patch Blue Hammer immediately and Nightmare Eclipse wasn't done. On April 15, two more exploits dropped, Red Sun and Undefend, both targeting Windows Defender. Red Sun is another privilege escalation. Undefend is arguably scarier in some ways. It makes your endpoint appear healthy to Defender, while simultaneously making Defender less capable of detecting new threats. So, an attacker could use Blue Hammer or Red Sun to gain system access, then run undefend to blind the very tool that was supposed to catch them. That's not a single flaw. That's beginning of an attack chain, and this is very serious. Then in mid-May, right after Patch Tuesday, Microsoft's monthly update cycle, Nightmare Eclipse dropped two more, Yellow Key and GreenPlasma. Yellow Key is one that made people stop scrolling. The researcher called it, quote, one of the most insane discoveries I ever found. It's a BitLocker bypass, as in the full disk encryption that Microsoft sells as your last line of defense if your laptop gets stolen. Yellow Key breaks it. You load some files onto a USB drive, follow a key sequence, and you get unrestricted shell access to a BitLocker protected machine. 0 days. Windows Defender, Toys. A Defender bypass, BitLocker. The entire security attack Microsoft puts in front of consumer and enterprise Windows users, shredded. And at least 3 of them, Blue Hammer, Red Sun, and Undefend, were confirmed by CISA, the US Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, to have been actively exploited in real-world attacks. This wasn't theoretical. Attackers were already using this code. Now, here's where things get genuinely ugly. By late May, this story had been running for nearly 2 months. 0 days active exploitation, the security community watching, and on May 28th, Microsoft Security Response Center published a blog post. They called the uncoordinated disclosures, quote, never justifiable. They said, our digital crimes unit will continue bringing cases against these actors and those that enable their criminal activity, coordinating as needed with law enforcement around the world. The security community absolutely erupted because the language, those that enable their criminal activity, is dangerously broad. If you share research about this, if you write a blog post about this, if you repost a link about this, are you enabling criminal activity? Nobody knew, and that ambiguity was the whole problem. The person who reacted most loudly, Katie Mazoris. If you don't know who she is the person who literally built Microsoft's bug bounty program. She pioneered it there in the mid to late 2000. She convinced Microsoft leadership to move away from the whole responsible disclosure framing and replace it with coordinated disclosure, which is still the industry standard today. This is someone who spent years inside Microsoft making the case that researchers deserve to get paid. Her response? She called Microsoft's statement over the top. She told TechCrunch that invoking the term responsible disclosure, a phrase she herself retired at Microsoft because it's subjective and judgy, was the first strike. And she said the digital crimes unit threat would, quote, only result in security researchers distrusting Microsoft. Meanwhile, GitHub, which is owned by Microsoft, suspended Nightmare Eclipse account. Then GitLab suspended them too. The exploit repositories went down. The researcher responded by moving everything to a self-hosted platform they set up themselves, and they dropped one more. RoguePlanet, a brand new Microsoft Defender 0-day, released just hours after Microsoft's June patch Tuesday. The timing was precise, almost surgical. Microsoft had just patched GreenPlasma and Yellow Key, and then RoguePlanet landed unpatched live working on fully updated Windows 11 systems. Under pressure from the community, Microsoft walked it back. On June 1st, the Security Response Center posted a news statement saying they had, quote, no intention to pursue action against individuals conducting or publishing their security research. They acknowledged that, quote, some interactions have fallen short and pledged to do better. They also confirmed something worth noting. Microsoft bug bounty programs have paid out over $60 million to researchers since 2013 across 18 programs spanning Windows, Azure, Defender, and AI systems. That's not nothing. That's a real program with real money. But here's the thing, and I want you to sit with this for a second. They walked back the legal threat. They did not fix the underlying problem. The research account is still deleted, the bounty dispute is still unresolved, and RoguePlanet is still unpatched as of the time I'm recording this. So, let's talk about what this actually means, because this is the part that matters to you and me as researchers. The Nightmare Eclipse situation is extreme. 6 0-days dropped publicly, 3 confirmed exploited in the wild, affecting systems that real people use. I'm not going to pretend that's consequence-free. There are defenders out there scrambling right now because of exploit code that's live on the internet. That's real, that matters. But the root cause that the researcher described, getting your MSRC account deleted, losing access to your own submissions, and not getting paid for findings you legitimately reported, that's not a crazy claim. Cyber News, TechCrunch, The Register, they all reported that in response to this story. Countless researchers came forward with their own bad experiences reporting bugs to Microsoft, not dropping 0 days bad, just frustrated, ignored, underpaid, ghosted bad. And that's the thing nobody wants to say clearly. The bug bounty system only works if both sides hold up their end. Researchers take a risk every time they report a vulnerability through official channels instead of selling it on the gray market. The other end of that deal has to mean something. If vendors can delete accounts, ignore reports, and silently patch bugs without paying, and then threaten prosecution the moment someone pushes back, why would researchers bother going through official channels at all? The security community's answer to what happens when you stop cooperating with researchers should not be they sell to 0-day brokers. Here's where I land on this. I don't think Nightmare Eclipse made the right call. Public exploit drops, especially when they picked up and used in real attacks, hurt real people. There's a version of this where you hold the line, go public, call out the behavior, build pressure without putting working exploit code in the hands of anyone with a GitHub account. But I also think Microsoft needs to own what created this situation. Not just a PR statement, actual structural accountability. What happened to this researcher's account, what happened to the bounty dispute, and how is the MSRC going to handle the fact that it's processing a growing volume of reports and apparently dropping the ball on some of them. Because here's the reality. As AI-assisted research gets more common, the volume of vulnerability reports is going to explode. Microsoft even acknowledged this in their June statement. If the process can't scale without leaving researchers stranded, the next Nightmare Eclipse is already out there, and they might not give as many warnings first. That's it for this episode of Snake Bytes. If you're working in bug bounty right now, keep receipts, screenshot your submissions, document your findings. So you should never be in a position where a company can delete your account and claim you never reported anything. Okay? That's it for this one. Thank you for listening to Snake Bytes, and I'll see you next time in another episode.